Hey, what's up? So let me get into a certain talk without getting confused. Let me just get into a talk about something fun, something real, like what I can do. Okay, if we can agree on that much as any type of audience, then I can move on. I'm sure this will be a timeless talk, okay? So, these defense mechanisms that come up where I go, like, I have to think hard. Like there's a lot taking place because of the abundance and things that it's like headed. It's just the upstream effect of spirituality. The upstream effect of spirituality, where someone's spirit is growing, building in a bright manner. That's funny that I just said building there. So, like, what I mean is, essentially, when you have light energy, you build a light idea, it's going to make sense to the universe. This could be anything. This could be I'm talking about something real here. Like, this could be a sustained idea and a thought form that God chose for you and spoke to you through different people, through himself, through just thought forms. So pretty much whenever, like, the machine, I'm going to call this video the machine versus karma, or the robot agenda versus karma. Karma would be like applied to a human because of what I would call God's laws and things. What happens is, like, there was a song by ASAP called Multiply. And hang on one second.
Less than 2% of the white diamonds in the world that have a separate certification.
And in this song, he's just saying, like, fake stuff. People who maybe lack soul or something like that. I mean, it has a decent flow, decent beat, and all this stuff. But kind of in the lyrics, he's just saying fake stuff is going to try to multiply. It's going to try to multiply. I'm careful with that wordplay there, just because of how the planted seeds of words can mean things and do things. So whenever, like, I'm just relating on the common sense idea between people who have gained some of the same and are on some of the same thought forms as God. In other words, you have a good idea, maybe while you sleep or whatever. God seems to have this reflective space where he views it overviews and tries to understand what your ideas are, and he'll catch up to you in this space. It's like a God's viewership, something like that. That's what I believe in. Anyways, so then he can see that it is good. He can see that what you're doing is good. And this is a view into, like, some real, spiritual balance. No matter how many times people will just kind of state the word balance of whatever they mean by that. This is kind of what creates the balance. Is you've scored ideas, or you've come up with ideas, and then God sees that it's good, because you don't want God to plan against your plan. Usually God's going to win. It might take time, because of what comes to mind is dominion. Like dominion, where, like, evil can last for a bit. God just does that. Like, I don't know. Evil can kind of just, darkness can last to, like, show us the effects of karma. That, like, look what happens as the effect to teach us the lesson. Like, look what happens as the effect once humans don't know how to talk universal anymore. We don't know universal code, as in a high five, anything to communicate with other languages. We'll just say we don't know what that person's saying and go away and not talk to them. It's like, look what happens. We all get spread out because we disagreed or something, like, historically. Does that make any sense? So, yeah. So then God sees that that's bad or whatever. So he just puts us all in, like, different language barriers and, like, all across the world or whatever. Like, that's something that you could read about, right? So that's kind of a flow there. Little flow state there. So like I like to joke around. Now I've made mistakes. Some of them were like a mistake, but then it was blown times 7, like in other people's minds. Like, you know, that's what I would call something I'm not going to even get into right now, but just, I made mistakes. But God doesn't seem to live on the realm of just like glooming over the wrong things. He seems to know of beauty. He seems to validate true beauty, which a lot of times true beauty is like maybe in the eyes, or it's in your ideas, and it's in your spirit, which will to a degree manifest in how you look. But then there's other things that just are murky with karma. So on the dark side of things, recognize this. This is like the truth in my mind. What's coming to mind about like depression and stuff and how to fix it for real is just something real would always kind of like add in a good light idea and make you feel happy for a certain amount of time. Okay, right? So then, let's see. So what all I was going to say on the side of depression is notice whenever someone is fully with the robotic agenda, that means like, now I'm not going to cut to the chase on this one and just call it a soulless being. I'm not going to call them a soulless being because that would be like a diss on them. So I'm not going to say that. What I mean is someone that lacks a little bit of soul in their ventures, but has capital. Now that's just kind of navigating out into like the profile, or the digging into profiles of the world, like who's who. You know, I'm not trying to stare, but how do you view social without viewing social? Right? So inconsistencies within whatever you want to call it, algorithms and stuff. You know, so there's many. We've now discovered, and God has seen that it's good, to share the science of how to wake up. Like the bro science, at least, or the girl power science of how to wake up, which would be like for men, abstinence, especially if there's like a demonic person trying to do something with you and you're on the flip side, you're not feeling left out, but you feel dry around people with that stuff. So you just want to like get that to the side. And you'd be surprised how gentle and calm like God will make things for you when you first take that initial risk and your heart drops to do stuff like that, to move someone out of your life. At first, sometimes they'll squeal and be like, no, but there's all these reasons why, like, but your light ideas. That's what the darkness will say is, but you had light ideas. That was our thing, is your light ideas. You know, that's what they're attracted to. It's called universal code in my mind, is when you have a good idea going on, and then pretty much it's just like a fun, like an example would be like, you meet a person and you and this person amplify a good idea together and you hang out for a certain amount of time. So it looks like a meeting everywhere scheduled or something. You guys meet at Starbucks or a coffee shop and talk about a good idea, and you build upon a good idea, and then God sees it as good and that balance is built. Then maybe it ends after a certain amount of time. Maybe this person also is a bright person, but the reason the relationship ended is something that you both couldn't even do with the original idea you had before in time. So then I'm going to try to make this about 12 minutes or 13 minutes. So I just feel the idea just in closing, but that would be like a glow and a shine of universal code and integrity, that you two had that good idea and that idea still exists. It could be like, let's spread some food out there for homeless or something, or just any type of good idea that you and at least one other person had, and you amplified it together. Like, so God, and then this is how I get distracted, is I just jump onto the next thought form of like what I would think the universe wants. So universal code would be like how to talk to someone in another language. You know, just, hey, high five, hey, hug, hey, romance, hey, anything to talk with them. Do you want a coffee? Do you want this? Anything to talk to someone in a different language barrier, that'd be an example of universal code working. So sometimes the brightness, let's say right now, in the past, it has been kind of scarce. You have a bright idea and you feel something like, take that bright idea and work with it. This would be like the dominion I was talking about, where like darkness can rule for a while just to teach us all a lesson. But light tends to just live on. Light tends to just live on. It'll like go into like whatever, it'll enclose and become smaller, but then it'll come back and amplify back. You know? Yeah, so that's why like if you get on Yelp and just make some joke, like you'll feel a dark toll of like, because it's not like normal. It's not, that's, you know, that's random in the subconscious of us, and the overall is just real ideas. So that's even trying with like something that, you know, when you wake up the next morning, 2 days later, whatever, God will just kind of come in and get an idea like, what are you doing? And he's going to see that as good or see that as bad, simply spoken. So yeah, so just in the face of like people it'll show in people's bodies, but it'll be like, you seem to have, with this bright idea, there seems to be a coincidence that manifests later. It could be at a sneaky timing, but some form of coincidence will happen after you've built this good idea at, say, a coffee shop. It's like there's some trademark or some scandal. It could be very micro because your idea was micro. Okay, but this is someone who's like very rich, who's like who's connected to you through the chakras of the planet or whatever, who's just looking at like an idea like yours, like, that is so bright. I have so much money and I don't know what to think of that. All rolly, you know? So like, that's one idea. I'm thinking about like what, you know, so God showed me personally recently, because I got the idea randomly. I'm so depressed, like I might just try something magical to fix depression. So then I bought a few crystals. I got into like jade was one of my favorites, jade stone, citrine. I love citrine, stuff like that, and I've lost all of them. And the theory is the crystals will find a way somehow to manifest leaving your life if they don't fit well, or they have another mission or someone else they want, like stuff like that. So I got the idea that maybe these things work, in fact, because if you notice, some people's belief on crystals is that they don't work at all. It's a object. There's no way that has any influence over reality whatsoever. So I took a long time and I gave up. I gave up halfway on this idea that crystals work. I gave up halfway. And then they sat in my room for a while. Then I randomly, after like years and years of just kind of looking at them and stuff, losing random ones, like just waking up the next morning and swearing like, is the crystal gone? I thought I had it. Just stuff like that. Yeah. So the idea is that they're spirits in some type of way. We just don't understand them as humans or something, but they're able to amplify good ideas. And a good thing, something good is just good. It could manifest in your neurology, your neurotransmitters, as happiness to have a good idea, and that's jumping fields. So what happened essentially, to follow up with the crystals, is that God showed me like, yes, they work. There's just a lot of weird stuff around crystals because you can place an idea on one and it's going to sustain that idea. And only some people understand this, how like the crystals are going to meet you back on what idea you came up with around it. It's just a karmic wheel somehow or something like that. And that's, so yeah, whenever someone's like around fully with the agenda of like something, you gotta just go ahead and meet them halfway on. They're fully with the robotic agenda, what I would call it. I know that's like a diss, I know that. But for some reason, like stuff like this, It's not warfare. It's not. Gaining protection through non-physical seeds is not warfare. It's the opposite. It's peace during a time of what? Something we shouldn't say. So this is just an idea in a thought form. After about 2 years there where I gave up on the crystals, the whole idea of them, like maybe they don't work, I started to realize, I guess they do work, I guess this whole time I've seen enough of like the placebo action of like me feeling happier and me feeling bright and blessed, which is probably equates to some form of dopamine, which is the crazy new scientific guess that I have, that maybe they work. Then he showed me that you just got to bless them. You just got to bless them. These things amplify like a relationship. They just amplify an idea, whatever the idea is. So obviously when you get around like dark stuff where someone's just viewing it very capitalistic and just like a blind faith in reality, it's going to, also be connected to them because these things are on the planet. These things live on the planet. I know this is not a crystal, but just that type of talk. That's not a crystal. You said crystals. Yes, but precious metals are similar to crystals. They also are timeless. So once you record them, basically, the energy of them being projected onto a robot or a machine can't be deleted. So it's going to bless you no matter what media you're watching it on your photo album, on your iPhone, anything. Once you have a crystal, it can be shared timelessly, and the energy of it essentially is already projecting out. But this is the understanding. So just kind of that type of stuff. And yes, I find that depressing that someone would fact check that. I find that depressing. So depression seems to actually be connected, not just about medication, but depression seems to be actually connected through numerology. Just like a depression of movement, like a lockup of energy where good things die off. And in God's eyes, hopefully would come back later. Just sometimes there's like a dark message where it's like, okay, if you guys all chose this just to learn the lesson, maybe we'll just let it happen for a bit there as I begin talking again. So yeah, trying to share this, help me amplify this, before it's like hoarded over into like multiplication of inconsistent numerology, different things with universal code. I like universal code, so like, yeah, that's the whole deal and stuff, is like they're going to take that energy and be like, but we have more money, bright ideas like that don't go for money, so it doesn't matter, and different things that I find depression in, and to view it on a conscious level. My subconscious is basically picking up on this today. I had like a gateway to that idea yesterday, which yesterday existed. So like one idea I had one time is like, tomorrow's not a thing until it's tomorrow. Like right now, tomorrow doesn't exist. But we can confidently feel that there probably will be a tomorrow. All right, so peace. Okay.